In the US, 20,000 USD only covers a few months of rent. But out there, the same amount of money can buy you a real house. In the US, you pay 200 USD for a single electricity bill. In these places, 200 USD is enough to live for an entire week, with housing, food, and peace. So why keep living to pay bills when with just one different choice, you can live 80% cheaper but 200% happier? Today, I will show you 10 countries where 20,000 USD is enough for you to trade a heavy life for a life worth living. Dream it. Pack it. Go. Bulgaria, the sleeping muse of the Balkans. Bulgaria is the kind of place where the moment you step off a bus in a small village like Jaravna and take your first breath of mountain wind, you instantly understand why people call this country the sleeping muse of Europe. Not loud, not fighting for attention, Bulgaria is beautiful the way an old painting hanging in an attic is beautiful. The longer you look, the warmer it feels, and the longer you live here, the more you understand why so many Americans choose this place to begin a new chapter of their lives. In the US, $20,000 is just a number you argue with a used car dealership about. But in the Bulgarian valleys filled with golden sunlight, that number opens the door to a 2-story red brick house with a garden as wide as a childhood memory, where mornings begin with the sound of birds brushing their wings against the roof tiles, and evenings smell of burning wood drifting softly through every crack. People call that luxury, but the real luxury here isn't granite counters or stainless steel. It's the feeling of opening your eyes and realizing the world has suddenly become easier to breathe in. Jaravna has a special rhythm, slow but not sad, peaceful but not lonely. Villagers still weave carpets on their porches, still bring fruit to their neighbors just for fun, still wish each other a peaceful day in Bulgarian that is round and soft like a lyric. Here, when you buy a small house, you are almost buying an entire welcoming embrace, something that, in America, even with money, can be very hard to have. And then you realize you're living on $700 or $800 a month without having to shrink yourself into a reduced version of you. Breakfast is a $1 black coffee, lunch is a few dollars for salad and local cheese, and afternoons are a $2 glass of wine that makes you wonder why you ever accepted paying $12 for a mediocre wine in California. Healthcare here is gentler than you think. A private visit is only $20 or $30. Enough for you to walk out of the clinic feeling cared for, not billed. Every American who comes here says, "This is the first time in my life I went to the doctor without worrying I'd go bankrupt." You can apply for Bulgaria's D visa without spending hundreds of thousands of dollars like in Portugal or Spain. You only need to prove that you can support yourself, have a pension, or simply that you bought a small house in the village. That alone is enough for Bulgaria to open its doors, smile softly, and say, "Stay. There's still plenty of room here for you to breathe. Bulgaria isn't perfect. Winter can be longer than you expect. Bulgarian isn't easy to learn. But on those afternoons when sunlight pours over the plum garden, you'll know you chose right." This isn't just a place where $20,000 buys you a house. This is where it buys back the peace you lost a long time ago. 9. Ecuador. The misty valley that gives you a second youth. Ecuador is the kind of place where many Americans only need to open their window one morning, look down at the misty valleys of Vilcabamba, to know immediately that they have found their second youth. Not because Ecuador is flashy, but because this place has something very rare in the modern era: clean air, a slow rhythm of life, and the feeling that every breath is worth something. With $20,000 in the US, you only buy a set of car parts. But in Vilcabamba or Cotacachi, that amount is enough for you to own a small white house with a wooden porch facing the mountains, a mango garden, an orange garden, and sometimes even a stream running past the end of your yard. In the morning, the sound of birds calling each other on the slopes of the Andes. In the afternoon, the breeze caresses the earth so gently that you feel a few years younger. The biggest difference in Ecuador is that the climate is forever like spring. Not burning hot like Florida, not skin-cutting cold like Colorado, just cool, clean, and gentle. And thanks to that climate, the cost of living here is unbelievably low. You can live peacefully on about $700–900 a month without sacrificing a single small joy in your life. Healthcare in Ecuador also makes Americans pause for a moment. A private visit is only $25–35. Many doctors speak English, and the public insurance program IESS allows foreigners to join at a surprisingly low cost. That's why many people say, "Here, for the first time, I feel like my health is not a financial burden." Ecuador is as gentle as its own people. They greet you with a smile, sell you fresh fruit in the morning market, and always ask if you've gotten used to the altitude. For foreigners, especially Americans, Ecuador is so kind and sincere that it makes you wonder why you didn't come here sooner. If misty mornings, $20,000 homes facing the Andes, and a life as light as the wind move your heart, hit like and subscribe to explore more countries with me where happiness is still surprisingly affordable. 8. Mexico, the outskirts of Puebla, where life is as simple as a morning corn tortilla. The outskirts of Puebla aren't a place people go to show off. It's a place to breathe. Just a short drive from the center, areas like San Pedro Cholula or Atlixco open up a completely different world. Peaceful, clean, and so reasonably priced that you have to reread it 3 times to believe it. Because here, 20,000 USD can buy you a 1-story brick house or a small traditional home with a tiled patio, red roof, and a garden where you can grow corn, chili peppers, and the sense of peace you thought you had lost. What makes Puebla stand out from many other places is the genuinely good quality of life. Food is cheap but unbelievably delicious. Lunch is 3–5 USD, coffee is 1 USD, and fresh meat and fish come daily from family markets. Many people spend only 600–800 USD a month, which is less than what you pay for electricity plus insurance in the US. And private healthcare in Puebla is famously good, with doctor visits costing only 25–40 USD, many doctors speaking English, and facilities as modern as those in major cities. Mrs. Linda, 62 years old. She came to Puebla to visit a friend and stayed temporarily in a small house on the edge of town. One morning, as she stood looking at the red roofs fading into the thin mist, hearing church bells echoing in the distance, she suddenly burst into tears. "This is the first time in many years I feel like life isn't fighting against me anymore." A month later, she used 20,000 USD to buy a small house on the outskirts of Puebla. "I didn't buy a house," she said. "I bought back the feeling of being alive." If you think someone in your family or circle of friends is also searching for a life that's true to its real value, share the video. Who knows, Puebla might be the place where they find their peace again. 7. Serbia, Ivanjica, the gentle valley of the Balkans. Ivanjica is the kind of place where the moment you arrive, you feel your heartbeat slow down. The small town sits between deep green Balkan mountains, with mornings covered in mist over red roof tiles, and afternoons where the wind rustles through plum gardens like the breath of a softer world. People say the Balkans are strong and fierce, but Ivanjica carries a very different kind of beauty. Gentle, deep and sincere, like a place untouched by time. With 20,000 USD in the US, you can only fix your old car or pay off a few overdue bills. But in Ivanjica, that amount is enough for you to step into a stone-walled house, a small two-story home with a garden big enough to grow flowers, vegetables, and even have a corner to sit and watch the morning mist. That feeling, owning a real European home, is exactly what makes Ivanjica an unmistakable highlight. What stays with you most here is the people. Serbians may look serious on the outside, but their hearts are unexpectedly warm. One traveler once shared, his hat was blown away by the wind, and before he could run after it, a young Serbian man had already dashed down, picked it up, placed it in his hand, and smiled. Here, we don't let anyone lose anything. A simple sentence, but it captures the very spirit of this land. The cost of living is incredibly light. A traditional meal is only $5 to $6, coffee is $1, and fresh meat and vegetables are cheap and delicious. Internet is fast. Utilities are stable. And most importantly, Serbia doesn't make life difficult for Americans. With an income of about 1,000 USD a month or ownership of a small house, you can easily apply for long-term residency without needing to invest hundreds of thousands, like in Western Europe. Ivanjica isn't for those who want noise and excitement. It's for those who want to reclaim peace in a world that has become too loud. If Ivanjica touches you even just a little, leave a comment below. Who knows? This might be the place that becomes the next chapter of your life. 6. Nicaragua, San Juan del Sur, the sun-baked town where life returns to its real price. Go straight to the thing that makes San Juan del Sur make Americans. Freeze. 20,000 USD in the US only buys a few months of rent. But here it's enough for you to own a small house near the beach, with a yard, with coconut tree shadows falling across the doorway. And every morning you wake up to the sound of waves instead of delivery trucks. Not a dream, but a coastal town that still keeps the price of living. Human beings can actually live on, something many places in the world have already lost. San Juan del Sur has a very unique palate. Hot, free-spirited, and lazily charming. You step outside and meet smiles, hear buenos dias echoing from every direction, and see wooden cafes facing the ocean, where a cup of coffee is only $1, a plate of seafood is $4 to $6, and every sunset looks like a painting no one wants to turn off. Life here is so light that you find yourself wondering why you ever paid $2,000 a month for stress in the US. Nicaragua has one advantage that no other country on this list has. The Pensionado Visa, one of the easiest retirement programs in Latin America. With just 600 USD in monthly income, you can apply for long-term residency without needing to buy property, without needing to invest, without needing a deposit. You are also allowed to import furniture tax-free and bring in a vehicle tax-free within the first 6 months. Many Americans say, "This is the first time I've seen a country actually want me to live comfortably." Of course, San Juan del Sur isn't perfect. Sometimes the electricity flickers for a few minutes. The ocean waves get strong in windy seasons, and the pace of life is sometimes slower than you imagine. But that slowness is exactly why people come. Here, you don't chase life. Life slows down to wait for you. If you think someone might also be exhausted by America's high costs, share this video. You might just open a new door for someone who needs hope. 5. Cambodia, Kampot, the riverside town where time slows down for you. Kampot is a place many Americans describe with one simple sentence: "I came here to rest," and ended up relearning how to live. The small town sits by the Tuk Cho River, with misty mornings and afternoons, where the wind drifts through rows of French-style houses stained by time. And right in this seemingly ordinary place, 20,000 USD is enough for you to buy a small house with a yard, a mango tree by the gate, and a bit of sky to breathe deeply under each day. The emotional anchor of Kampot lies in its rhythm, so slow that you can almost hear the river moving. The people are kind, the morning markets full of fresh produce, the quiet cafes facing the river. All of it makes life lighter, cleaner, and so cheap that everything in the US suddenly feels absurd. A meal is only $2 to $3, iced coffee is under $1, and monthly living costs rarely exceed what you used to pay just for electricity in the US. The story of Mr. Harris, 67, is the clearest example. He came to Kampot to stay a few weeks for a change, but one afternoon, sitting by the river, he met an elderly Khmer man who handed him a coconut water and said in broken English, "Rest a little, here everyone lives slow." Mr. Harris said that just that one sentence was enough for him to know he didn't want to leave anymore. 2 weeks later, he bought a small yellow house for about $19,000, something he described as the most expensive in America, the cheapest in my soul. Kampot isn't perfect, sometimes hot, sometimes power cuts for a few minutes. But it has what retirees spend a lifetime searching for. A place where time doesn't chase you, but slows down to walk with you. If Mr. Harris's story makes you think, share this video. Someone else out there might also be needing a harbor like Kampot. 4. Georgia, Svaneti, the land above the clouds where 20,000 USD buys a piece of fairy tale. Svaneti is the kind of place where the moment you step in, you feel like you've wandered into a chapter of an ancient story the modern world has forgotten. Medieval stone towers stand upright in the valleys. Misty pathways wind through the hills, and behind it all is the Caucasus Range, white as if dusted with sugar. Here, life is so light you can hear the wind in your breath. What's surprising is that 20,000 USD can still buy you a traditional stone and wood house. Thick walls to keep warm in winter, dark wooden roofs, and a small yard looking out toward the majestic Ushba mountain. Many houses need a bit of renovation, but in exchange, you get a piece of life set within a landscape recognized by UNESCO. The cost of living is extremely low. Meals are $3 to $5. Produce from local gardens is so cheap, you'll think they miscalculated the price. Georgian-style coffee is about $1, and a hot khachapuri is only $2. Locals are gentle, sincere, and incredibly hospitable. They will offer you homemade wine within 5 minutes of meeting you. Language isn't a major barrier because young people speak English increasingly well. And the friendliness of the Svan people is enough to make you feel like you're becoming part of the village. Safety is almost absolute. This is a region where children play outside until late at night, and no one worries. Visa rules for Americans are extremely open. You can stay 365 days without a visa, and afterward, you only need to step out and come back in to get another year. Svaneti isn't for those who love big cities. It's for those who want to live slowly, live truthfully, where mornings open to clouds, and evenings glow with the warm flicker of a fire that makes you feel you've found the right rhythm of life. 3. Bosnia and Herzegovina, Fojnica, the mountain town where life is pleasantly Balkan. Fojnica is the kind of town that makes you laugh the moment you arrive. How is a place this pretty kept secret from the world? Nestled between green mountains and hot mineral springs, this small town carries a peaceful beauty, yet with a charming humor that is unmistakably Balkan. Here, 20,000 USD can buy you an old brick house with a red roof, a small porch, a tiny garden. the kind of home you thought existed only in old European storybooks. What's different is everything in Fornica feels too friendly. You ask for directions, they walk you there. You order coffee, they bring you extra cake so you won't be sad. You say you're from the US, they laugh. Welcome to the place where bills don't keep anyone awake. And the truth is, the cost of living here really is light. Meals $4–6, coffee $1, fruit so cheap it feels like a clearance sale. Fornica also has a story that makes everyone want to stay longer. Jack, 66, came here just to soak in the mineral springs for 2 days. But on day 3 he was offered rakija, on day 4 he was invited to a BBQ, and on day 5 villagers asked directly, "When are you moving here?" On day 6 he went to see houses. A month later, he bought a small stone home for 18,000 USD. He said, "I only wanted to rest my joints, but ended up resting my whole old life." Fornica isn't perfect. Mountain roads winding, rain sometimes too lazy to stop. But it has something few places keep. Warmth that makes you smile. Peace that makes you breathe deeply. And a cost of living that makes life reasonable. If Fornica's story makes you think of someone who needs a lighter, happier life, share this video. You might have just given them a small gift. 2. Philippines. Camiguin, the small island where life is as gentle as the sea. Camiguin is the small island that makes you feel, the moment you arrive, as if someone just pressed slow down on your entire life. Not as busy as Cebu or Manila, Camiguin is peaceful with crystal-clear seas, coconut forests whispering in the wind, and small island roads that always smell like sunshine. Housing prices here make many Americans freeze. 20,000 USD can still buy a wooden house or a small, clean tin roof home with a yard, space to grow mangoes, bananas, or hang a hammock facing the evening sea. Living costs are as light as a breath. Meals $2 to $4, fresh fish $3 to $5 kg, coffee $1, and renting a motorbike for an entire month costs under $40. Camiguin locals are so friendly that you'll feel adopted into the family after just a few days. English is widely spoken, communication is easy, and the small expat community feels like a close-knit family, safe, clean, and with basic health care fully available. And when you need specialized care, just take a ferry to Cagayan de Oro, where there are large international standard hospitals. Camiguin isn't perfect. Sometimes short power outages, sometimes seasonal rains. But it has what many people search for their entire lives. A life that is cheap, beautiful, kind, and as gentle as morning waves. If Camiguin makes you think, "I could live here," hit like and subscribe. There are many more 20,000 USD islands waiting for you. 1. Albania. Thel, the valley in the sky where 20,000 USD buys pure peace. Thel is the kind of place you step into and feel as if the world suddenly goes silent. No car horns, no crowds, no bills chasing you. Only towering stone mountains, crystal-clear streams, and wooden-roof stone houses scattered through the valley like a painting. Here, 20,000 USD can still buy a small traditional stone house. Thick walls, wooden roof, and a front yard facing the accursed mountains. So beautiful, it makes you freeze for a few seconds. Those who want to renovate by hand can find older homes that need only light repairs. Perfect for people who love a slow life. Close to nature. Close to the sound of streams and wind. The cost of living in Thel is light as clouds. Meals $4–7. Local cheese and meat several times cheaper than US supermarkets, and a proper Balkan espresso for just $1. Albanians are famously hospitable. They treat guests like friends and foreigners like family temporarily away from home. Even though English isn't perfect, you can still communicate easily through their sincerity and smiles. Safety is a major strength. Crime is extremely low, people look out for each other, and even in the mountains, it is very peaceful. Basic health care is available in the nearby town, and for larger needs, you only need to travel to Shkodër or Tirana. Visa rules for Americans are easy. You can stay 365 days without a visa, one of the most open policies in Europe. Thel isn't for people who love glamour. It's for those who want true rest, where mornings open to mountains, evenings flicker with the crackle of a fire, and your heart feels lighter than it has in 20 years. If Thel makes you think of someone who needs this peace, share the video. You might be helping them find themselves again. In the end, what matters isn't which country you choose among these 10. It's that you realize one simple truth. You still have a choice. When in the US, 20,000 USD is only a temporary expense. But in these places, it opens a new chapter of life. With a home, with nature, with kind people, and with mornings you actually want to wake up to. If you've ever thought, maybe I'll never own a home in my entire life, I hope today's video showed you that has never been true. So which place will you choose to begin again? Leave a comment. Who knows? Your answer today may become your journey a few months from now.